Welcome to the Lorehounds. I'm Elysia.
And I'm Jean. And this is the inaugural episode of the DCUniverse.
We've been teasing DC coverage to come, and today we're going to talk about what that's actually going to look like.
And we're going to say goodbye, maybe good riddance, to the DCEU with a of all 17 DCEU films.
Plus. Season 1 of Peacemaker, of course. And then stick around for a preview of coverage to come from DC Elseworlds like Joker 2 and the Penguin, James Gunn run DCU, and a new type of episode we've been cooking up behind the scenes.
And as always, we want to hear your thoughts about everything DC. Just shoot us an email or even a voice memo at lorehounds@thelorehounds.com with any of your thoughts, or join us on the Lorehounds Discord to talk comics and more. You'll find those links in the show notes.
All right. Well, this is our inaugural episode, and I realized right before recording, I'm like, we don't have DC music, but we don't even know what the DC music's going to sound like yet.
That's right. That's right.
We have a
Gunn
DC
needs
logo.
To step up. Step up, Gunn.
Jean's impatient for DCU news. So Jean, why don't you start? What is you are the bigger DC fan of the two of us, I'll say up front. What is your background with these characters, this world?
I mean, everything starts for me with the comic books. So I've read, back my entire adulthood, adolescence, early childhood. I've been immersed in comic books and comic book stories. So first taste, Superman, Batman, of course. Old cartoons that I didn't grow up with, but watched reruns of, repeats of when I could. So all these characters are near and dear to me. And even some obscure ones that maybe general, regular folks who don't pay attention to comic books all that much don't really care about. But yeah, it all goes back to reading comic books and watching cartoons.
But don't you feel, because that is one thing that I think is great about James Gunn, which I'm a James Gunn fan. I like his work, and I'm excited about what he's going to do with the DCU. But one definite thing that we see in the lineup that he's selected so far, which we're going to get into more later, is that he does seem to be like a real comic fan, pulling out some obscure teams and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. The news that we've gotten about what's coming, what he wants to do, it definitely gives a vibe that, we're going to tell stories with characters that you may not be familiar with, but you're going to get familiar with and you're going to love. So we'll see if it all works the way that it's intended. But
also
it is
Batman
exciting.
And Wonder Woman and
right.
Yeah.
We're not going to not do those things.
Yeah.
We're not going to not do the ones that you know of and care of and care for. Excuse me. And we're going to give you those, but we're also going to introduce some new characters to you as well. So it's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, so I said that you're the bigger DC fan. It's not that DC's also always been a part of my life. I've always been more of a Marvel girly, but also had like a soft spot for particular DC characters. I'm not going to surprise people when I name some feminine characters, but I was a small child in the 80s, and I thought that Supergirl movie from 1984 was the bee's knees, and I don't care what people say about it now. And everyone just keep this in mind when we get to our rankings.
Oh boy.
But no, I mean, so I loved that. I loved Harley Quinn. I love the I loved the same movies that everyone else loved, like the Batman movies, and I love the darker side of DC,
definitely.
But especially when it's darker and more playful, which is why I'm hopeful for this new era.
I don't know about darker. I don't know about darker. I think there's a large segment of the population that wants to see a lighter tone because of what came before.
But I mean, like Tim Burton darker, like where it's still like Beetlejuice. I'm deep in Beetlejuice mode right now, but Beetlejuice where it's it's dark as in goth, but it's still fun and playful.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm very, because Gunn has been sort of tight-lipped about to, so I'm really interested to see how it plays out with the first film, not
Mm,
the first entry into the new DC universe, but the
right.
first actual film that we get, to see what tone is set, because then we'll be able to really see where he's going. I think the animated stuff is always going to be different
Mm,
from what we get on screen. So I'm really interested to
live
see
action, yeah.
exactly, because that will tell us where the story and the tone and the setting and all of that stuff, that's going to be the marker.
Yeah. Are you watching any good DC stuff now? Like speaking of
Yeah,
animation, a lot of it's
yeah.
animation.
All of it is really animation. I'm immersed in Kite Man,
Yeah, me too. Me
um,
too.
and I'm watching the Harley Quinn
Oh yeah, that's
animation
one of
as
my
well.
favorites. That's one of
So
my
I'm on the
favorites.
second season of Harley,
Okay.
and I'm watching, and I just finished watching like the first episode of Kite Man.
Started the first episode of Batman Arkham Asylum, which a lot of people have been raving about. The first episode for me was like, okay, nothing wrong, nothing that got me so excited, but everyone's like, no, just wait for episode 2. So, okay, I'm going to do that.
Oh yeah, that is that the
The one on
yeah,
Prime.
I'm Prime. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm into that as well. I'm on episode 8.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, that's
Yeah.
really good.
I
That's really
also
good.
I also need to catch up on my adventures with Superman, which like gave me because Superman for me is always kind of a Boy Scout.
Hmm.
So, and this one, he is a Boy Scout in this show, but also he's more human in a way. So I'm connecting with him more in that animated series
Okay, I
than I
finished
think I
the.
have in any Superman thing to date.
That's wow. That's big praise. I finished the second season about a month ago. Yeah, so I watched it as they were being released, so I was completely up to date on those, and I liked it. And I liked it. I thought it was cool. I like how they changed some things with his backstory, and also just the animation was cool.
Yeah.
I think they did a great job rendering the characters and the
Hmm.
story. Especially, I like this second season um, a lot more than I liked the first season of
Okay.
Superman
Oh, that's good
Adventures.
to know. Oh,
Yeah.
that's exciting. Well, yeah, because I always Lois Lane is the character. She's not necessarily my favorite character, but she's a character I identify with most because I'm also a journalist who has to double check her spelling. So, so I really liked her represent like how she is portrayed in that show too.
Yeah, it's really good. It's I enjoyed that show. And like I said, I really enjoyed the second season.
Yeah. So these are all Elseworlds, all these things that we've been discussing. So how would you define the difference between? Because yeah, people are getting confused. There's the DCEU, and that's what we're going to be power ranking today. The DCEU titles. We've got the DCU titles that are starting in December, and then we've got Elseworlds, which is basically everything else we've been talking about.
So the DCEU, the extended universe, is everything came before James Gunn took over. That's just
Well,
how.
well, between for 10 years between Man of Steel and Aquaman
Yes,
too,
and
like the Tim
Aquaman
Burton's.
too.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. So that's the extended universe. The DCU is the now rebranded DC Universe. No extensions, no extended. Um, that James Gunn and who else is there with him?
Oh, well, I
Um,
have his name written down. What
is
is his
this
name?
Safran?
Peter Safran. Yeah.
Yeah, that they're heading. So they're taking the DC universe in a new direction. And then the Elseworld stuff is just what it is. It's Elseworld stuff. It doesn't exactly. It's like the multiverse, basically,
Yeah.
right? So these are stories with the same characters, but in different universes that don't have the same backstories that you might be used to.
Yeah. Yeah. So they are doing, so the DCEU is the set of characters that you've mostly been seeing, not including the Batman, but it's like Ben
That's an
Affleck's
Elseworld.
Batman. Yeah, exactly. So that should become clearer as we go through this, and we're going to talk more about specific titles and where they fit, and we're going to talk more about what's coming up at the end. But first, yeah, this we want to say goodbye to this crop of characters that ended at the end of last year with with Aquaman 2. It ended with a real whimper there.
Oh boy! Wow! Oh, let it be known. We're
Spoiler
starting
alert!
off. We're starting off.
Spoiler alert! That one's not ranking high on my list.
Oh boy! Okay.
But what are your overall thoughts on the DCEU? These 17 titles between 2013 and 2023.
I enjoyed it much more than most people.
Okay.
I really did. I thought some of the stories were really cool. Some of the characters were really good. I am not a detractor of the extended universe. I'm not a detractor of Snyder at all.
No. Okay.
No. So it will be interesting to hear your thoughts on your rankings.
I'm not a detractor either, but we have different tastes. Yeah.
Right. We don't know each other's rankings, by the way.
No.
So it's going to be interesting to see where we differ or where we might agree. But again, I enjoyed the extended universe. I thought it gave me things that I wanted to see. And I'm a big proponent of getting characters on screen. Some characters, they did better than others. Some stories were told better than others, which is expected. But overall, I was okay with it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I'm just in general, I like to like things. So I generally liked most of them. I thought that it did not start that strong for me. I was a fan of Zack Snyder's prior movies, but I wasn't a fan of what he did with the first couple movies in the DC. I wasn't really a fan of his movies in the DCEU, and I more enjoyed other people's movies in the DCEU.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Because it just, well, we'll talk about it as we go through them. But but I'm not like a detractor. You know, I enjoy it. I've seen most of them more than twice. The most recent ones I've only seen once, but even the ones that I don't necessarily like so much, I made sure I at least watched them twice to give like a good, fair, my fair opinion on it. But it comes down to taste a lot of the time.
Definitely. I will say for me, there are no Rebel Moons in the DC extended universe. There are no, I think Snyder, for me, did some of his best work.
Okay. Well, there we go.
EU. Yeah.
Then we've got both sides of that opinion equation represented here. Yeah. Because I like Rebel Moon better.
Oh my God! Oh, we're started off, man. Let's go.
But when I say like I like his movies, it was more of the prior ones. But
no,
yeah. I guess my biggest problem with the DCEU, and I think this comes down to a lot of funny business that's been going on at Warner Brothers, but just how it was handled at the end. But of course, David Zaslav's been terrible for creatives there and talent. So I guess it's not surprising, but it's just also, I think that's also one reason why it took me. How long did it take me to watch Aquaman?
Months. Months, I tell you.
And I think it was just like this feeling of like, oh, well, it doesn't even mean anything. And it just, and I just, all of the drama also about, and this wasn't Warner Brothers, but the drama about private lives of one of the actors, which I think is, whatever people think, is just unfair to her in the movie and everybody. So it just kind of, all the noise around the end, kind of, that's what when I say going out with a whimper, it's like it was suffocated by all this noise.
I agree. The oxygen was definitely taken out of the room. Yeah. Definitely.
But there's some real high points. Like there's my number 2 on this list. I will watch every year. The number 1's newer, but
okay. All right.
I do have to give a slight disclaimer. It's just, as we hinted, sometimes my personal opinions do not align with what I'm quote unquote supposed to think. So there's going to be some hot takes incoming, and I'll respect your opinions if you respect mine. And it does not make me a fake geek girl or not for me, blah, blah, blah.
Please.
If I think different than you.
I wish somebody would throw that accusation out so I could refute it. Vociferously. Let's go.
Join Twitter.
I'm ready for that battle, please.
Yeah. Okay, so the 17 titles that we are going to be ranking are in release order: Man of Steel 2013, Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice 2016, Suicide 2016, Wonder Woman 2017, Justice League the theatrical cut 2017, Aquaman 2018, Shazam 2019, Birds of Prey 2020, Wonder Woman 1984 2020, Zack Snyder's Justice League 2021, the Suicide Squad 2021, Peacemaker Season 1 2022, Black Adam 2022, Shazam Fury of the Gods 2023, The Flash 2023, Blue Beetle 2023, and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom 2023. So we'll be right back with our rankings after a quick break. And once we're back, watch out for potential spoilers for all 17 of those. This is your official spoiler warning for the entire DCEU. Okay, so you ready to rank?
Yeah, let's go. Let's do this.
All right, you want to throw out the first one? What is your number 17 DCEU property? So we're going from least favorite, and that doesn't mean that we hate any of these. It just means we like it the
Speak
least.
for yourself.
All right, go for it.
The Flash, 17.
Oh, okay.
Let's go. The Flash. Get that out of here. That's what I said when I saw this movie. No. It's just bad. It's just comically bad. CGI, bad. And if you're doing a superhero movie and the visuals don't hit, why are you doing this movie?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I here? Why am I here? I'm not here for story. I'm here
for story.
No, hold on. I'm not here from story. Mm-hmm. I'm here to get engaged in the visuals and then get engaged in the story.
Okay.
If the visuals are not hitting, I cannot get engaged in your film. It's a superhero movie. It's supposed to look epic. It's supposed to look dope. It's supposed to look like something that is brought from the comic book page on screen where I can sit back in my seat and say, wow. Not, oh my God, this is what? Not that. I want to say, wow. If I can't say wow at what I'm watching, I'm not going to say dope to what I'm hearing.
Mm-hmm. I need that on a t-shirt. Yeah.
Can't do it. This is superhero stuff, man. We're not, let's get this right. We got to do, visuals are a big part of the medium. And if you can't get the visuals correct on screen, why are we doing this?
Okay. Yeah, so I won't tell you where, but I have that one a bit higher on the list, not like near the top or anything, but it's because for me it's the opposite. I liked that first of all, I went in with rock bottom expectations, expecting an absolute train wreck. So I was like, oh, this is not as big a mess as I thought. Yes, there were visual problems, especially with that whole CGI thing and bringing, and all the controversies about the CGI characters and Christopher Reeve and all that stuff. But there was pathos. And of course, we're not even going to talk about the personal controversies of the star.
Right, of the star.
But the story itself, I am one more who cares that, and I don't give a crap about the visuals if I don't give a crap about the characters. And
okay.
No, I'm not saying that this one did it exceptionally well, but it had some, there was a good story kernel in there, and it had Sasha Calle as or Kaya, I don't know how you pronounce it, as Supergirl. I thought she was a great Supergirl. Yeah, that made part of the movie for that. That definitely makes it rank higher for me.
And again, this is not. I'm glad that you brought up Supergirl because she was the best part of the film, like I just mentioned. And Michael Keaton was great. I'm not taking away from.
Yeah.
I'm not taking away from the parts, the aspects that I found to be good.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the film was trash.
Okay, fair. All right, you know what film was the most trash to me, if we're
Yes,
being real,
go.
real? Black Adam. That's my number 17. It was
Yeah.
just, I had real hopes, like, in the first act of the film. I was like, "Okay, this is gonna go some" oh god, why? Oh, brain, please stop thinking. Brain, please turn off. And I was, like, in a really bad mood, that day, and I honestly, I had a double I often, if I'm gonna make the effort to go to the theater, I'll often do, like, a double billing.
Right.
Um, and so that was the first film in a double billing, and I almost left before the second one, and thank God I
Uh,
stayed because I liked that one so much better.
thank goodness. What film was it, if you
It
don't
was
mind
The
me asking?
Woman King.
Oh, yes. Okay. Great.
And that
Great
was
movie.
like that gave me the, like, "Rah!" and
Yeah, of course.
hearts and all that feeling that I was missing from Black Adam, but it was just I don't know, there was so many problems from just everything about the writing was a mess,
Yes.
the most the most, like just remember that kid? What did he even say? But
Wait, I
it's
don't
not the
even.
kid's fault, it's not the kid's fault, but
No, it's the
it's
writer's fault
and the director, yeah.
and the director. Yes. So
It was just the most uninspiring moment of quote unquote inspiration, and the plot holes were just like you were just doing things for the sake of doing them, because I'm not one who's like the rule of cool. Um, I think it's way cooler if there's a reason for something to happen.
no, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
That was an equally trash film. Um, I could have put both of them. The next two I could have, you know, a A1 and A2, quite honestly, right? As far as being the worst of the bunch. Um, but I get the Black Adam stuff. That was, yeah, yeah.
So what's your number 16?
Shazam, Fury of the Gods.
Okay, okay.
Bad, 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 bad. Like Helen Mirren, like give her something better to do than that.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, it just felt flat. Like
Hmm.
the villains were flat. The heroes were flat. There was nothing exciting about the film, and I think Zachary Levi has run his course, and he
Mm-hmm.
should not play this character ever again.
Okay, okay. Well, you don't like the man-child kind of persona, so maybe Shazam is, like, not your character
No,
in
no,
general.
no. I like the Shazam character. I think
Okay.
Billy Bastion and saying Shazam and all of that.
Mhm.
I think it's pretty cool to have an adolescent with all these powers, right? I think that's a great story to tell. And some of the comics
Mm,
that they have, some of the comic book stories with some of his villains are excellent. So it's
okay,
not the Shazam character,
okay,
but I really feel the way that it's played, especially in this last movie, it's done.
okay. Um, yeah, so that one's also higher on my list, mostly because I really loved the first movie, so,
Okay.
it gave me like, I walked out of the second movie for sure disappointed, but, I definitely was more forgiving of it just because of my love for the first movie.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And there were unicorns.
What's your 16?
My 16 is Aquaman 2.
Go at it.
I mean, it was just it was beautiful, first of all. I mean, I guess I saw some people complaining about wonky CGI, but for me, I thought that it was really cool to see like more of daily life in Atlantis at the beginning and stuff. But the writing and the directing was just not there, like just completely phoned in. I know they probably cut it up and put it back together, and they probably had a morale problem after
Yeah.
everything that went on,
Yeah.
but it just felt like every actor was phoning it in except for what's his face who played the brother, forgetting his name,
Oh man.
um, Patrick Wilson.
Yes.
uh,
Yes. He was
yeah,
great.
yeah, he was great, but the story was nonsense. And I just couldn't care. I really wished I watched it on HBO, but I really wished I could speed it up.
Yeah. That was I agree, it was beautiful too. The the visuals were beautiful, but they phoned it in completely.
Mm-hmm.
Like they knew this was not going anywhere. This is the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
We're not continuing with anything. So we're just gonna be here.
Yeah.
And it felt like the performances, most of the performances were just that. We're just here.
Mm-hmm.
The writing was flat as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it was disappointing for me to watch because I really loved the first Aquaman. I thought it was a great movie. This was not a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your number 16? Oh, wait, sorry, number 15.
Black Adam.
Okay. Yeah.
For
Well,
all the
fair.
reasons that you stated when you
Mm-hmm.
it was just bad. The Rock is just bad. He was just terrible.
Yeah.
Like his performance was laughable. Like, and the only hope that the movie had was Aldous Hodge playing Hawk.
Yeah.
Other than that,
I did love that. I just want, now just give me a Hawkman movie, if you're going to
yeah,
take any
right,
characters.
right. But other than that, there was hardly anything to like. It
Mm-hmm.
was just, yeah, I didn't connect with the character. And he's a great villain. He's a great anti-hero at times in the
Mm-hmm.
comic books. You didn't get any of that. I didn't feel any of that.
Yeah.
I just felt like this was like a vehicle for The Rock to just
Yes. It was
play
just
a role.
a vanity project.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, definitely. It just felt like, yeah, I can do this and I'm going to do it type of situation. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter, what lines I say, what anyone else has to say. Just my presence alone is going to carry the movie. And that wasn't the case. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So what's your
So
15?
you're going to be unhappy with me.
Oh boy.
um, but so basically,
I
what
don't want to hear basically. Just spit it out. Just say it.
it's Batman versus Superman. So we're getting into the Snyder part of the list for me.
Yeah.
And so basically this one has one reason why I kind of low-key love it, and it's that it gave us the Martha meme. But the question I asked myself when making this list is, do I want to rewatch this right now? And I was like, no, just I can look up that clip on TV.
Fair enough.
It's just, yeah. For me, it was a bit like dark in terms of, devoid of color. And I'm not a huge fan of this whole grayscale trend that went on for a long time, which this definitely contributed to and also was part of. And yeah, but I agree. The visuals were probably pretty cool. I just did not care about the characters. And yeah, I couldn't get, I was like, I don't get, they're just fighting each other because people want to see them fight each other, which fine. But it just the writing felt on the lazier side to me. Sorry.
No apologies. No apologies. I can't argue with what you just said. I can't argue with what you just said. So I'm not going to hold it against you for BVS. So fair enough. I'm going to go to 14.
Okay.
Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
Okay. Yeah.
For all the reasons that you said.
Mm-hmm.
It was completely, they knew it was the end. The only reason it was just stunning to see Atlantis. Like the underwater scenes were just great.
Mm-hmm.
It was just great. If you haven't seen the movie, just, at some point you can probably find some clips online or whatever.
Or put it on in the background.
Yeah. And just, it was just a beautifully shot. Some of those scenes were just, it's just wonderful to see. But the movie itself suffered because all the actors knew, except for Patrick Wilson, who I thought was really, really good in this. And I wouldn't mind seeing him again in the role. But just, they completely were blank, and it didn't carry. And I felt watching it, why can't I remember his name?
Which one?
Khal Drogo.
Jason Momoa.
Yes. It felt almost to me like watching The Rock and Black Adam.
Hmm.
He
Yeah.
it gave me that type of vibe.
Somebody
And
said he just wore his own clothes.
yeah, basically, yes, yes. He wasn't even in costume. That's right. He rolled out of bed and this is in my closet. I'm going to wear this on set, and we're going to shoot it. We're going to shoot
And
me
we're going to
wearing
put
my
Patrick
clothes.
Wilson in this too.
Yeah. So it just felt that way. It felt like watching The Rock and
Hmm.
Black Adam, watching his performance, which was
He,
disappointing.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think he was a producer on this one. I think an executive producer, Jason Momoa. So I think he did have more influence on this one based on the success of the first one. But then things didn't go the way anybody planned, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where I'm at. That's my number 14. And
All
what's
right.
yours?
So yes, keeping with the Snyder theme, it's Man of Steel. It's just,
Oh,
I know,
now.
I
Oh,
know.
whoa.
A lot of people love this
Oh,
movie. I
oh,
know.
oh, oh. For those of you can't see me, but my face is, oh, Lord. Whoa. Okay,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
mean, it's just like I told you that, like I said before, Superman is just not a character I've in general especially connected with. And
Yes.
then combined with all the things I said about Batman versus Superman, now this definitely had better writing than that, but it just didn't connect with me. And I've watched it a couple times, and I was like, I don't have to watch it anymore. It's okay for me to admit to myself that I just don't enjoy
Don't
this one.
like. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair. That's fair. I won't argue with you.
Yeah. So what's your 13?
Batman versus Super.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't. There was no gravitas to their fight. Right. There was
Mm-hmm.
no. I didn't feel like there was a need to have them go at each other at the time that they did. Um, it was just wonky. There was something missing. Watching the film, it was just felt like there's something missing here. I kept saying that to myself each time that I watched it. I stepped away thinking like, what is it? But there's a it that is missing from this
Mm-hmm.
movie. It didn't grab me the way that it should have. I thought Affleck's this was his worst Batman,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of generally liked his Batman, but this was the worst Batman that he did. Um, it just wasn't. It didn't hit the right notes at all. The tension between them, I didn't feel it. I didn't understand it really.
Mm-hmm.
It felt manufactured in a way. Um, like you said in yours, it just felt like, oh, we're going to have them fight because that's what people want.
Yeah.
And it didn't really. I came away from the fight saying they didn't really need to fight.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You
Exactly.
know?
And then them having a mother with the same name ended
Oh,
it.
that
So,
was the
but
worst.
thank you for that meme. Thank you for that
Yeah,
meme.
there's
Martha will never be the same
yeah,
to me
never
again.
be the same. Never be the same. But yeah, I just felt like there's something missing from that film. There's a heart. There's a
Mm-hmm.
piece of
Yeah, it's missing the
soul
heart. Yeah.
that's missing from that film, and yeah, that's why it's number 13 for me.
Okay. All right. This is the one that's going to really piss people off. Some people, and other people are going to agree. But it shouldn't surprise you. The next one is the Snyder cut of the Justice League, and yes, this means I have the theatrical cut ranked higher,
Higher.
which I'll talk about. There are some reasons for that. Well, I guess I might as well talk about it now.
Yeah, yeah.
It's that basically okay. So there are things that I think are great about the Snyder cut. We're getting to the part, we're nearing like the middle of the list. We're getting to the part where it's like none of these are necessarily bad movies. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have Shazam next up. The second one. But we're getting to the part where I'm like, these are movies that are just far from perfect for me, but I don't think they're bad. And it's not like I
Right,
wouldn't watch it again.
right.
But of all the movies left, the one that I least want to watch again is the Snyder Cut. And obviously, part of that is so freaking long. And it
Yes.
doesn't, like, I don't need 5 scenes of Jason Momoa, like, standing in the wind and then an Icelandic choir sniffing his shirt.
Are you serious? You don't need that?
No, I don't. I got into some arguments online also about whether it made sense for Batman to suddenly speak Icelandic.
It
And
does.
I know, but yeah, if Batman has been studying the language for a while, because he doesn't have, it's not like the Matrix where he can just upload it. He has to have
He's
been studying it.
Batman.
Yeah, but yeah, I know
He's
with
Batman.
prep time, but we're talking about years of prep time, and I don't know that they sold me on that.
He's Batman.
He's very smart. I know this. He's smart and good at languages, but you still got to learn it anyway. But there's just like stuff like that, and I just so the theatrical cut, I do like that there are funny moments. Like the Snyder Cut's so dreary for me, even though
Okay.
I like that they have like the dark side things and more like that they fleshed out the villain side more in the Snyder Cut. So I do appreciate that. And I appreciate that the characters have more screen time. But there are aspects that I know people don't agree with me on, but like with Cyborg, I know he got more screen time in the Snyder Cut, but I thought that his transformation, like to me, felt like he had more personal agency in the theatrical cut. And then in the Snyder cut, it felt more like he was a product of his father's doing, which makes sense for his anger at his father. But I don't know. I just liked it better when it was like he was his own creation in a way.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
fair.
sorry to all the Snyder heads out there. You know, no hate. Just we all have
Just it
different
is what
tastes.
it is. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
And
Go ahead.
what's your number 12?
My number 12 is Justice League.
Okay.
Theatrical.
The theatrical. Okay.
Yeah. I thought it was abbreviated, truncated.
Hmm.
It didn't have to be as long as the Snyder Cut, but I felt it could have been, the story could have been fleshed out a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. I just really, I wanted, when I watched the film, I left. I remember leaving saying I want more,
Mm-hmm.
and and not I want more in the good way, but I want more in like, you know, they should have done this. They could have done that type of way. Not I
Uh-huh.
want the story to be continued, but I wanted the story that I just saw to be fleshed out a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that's why it's number 12 for me.
Okay. Okay. My number 12 is Shazam 2. And yeah, I already said basically it's as high as it is because of my love for the characters
I mean,
coming out of
listeners, if you could see my face, oh,
I
oh,
mean, we're still, yeah, we're almost to the midpoint of the list. So, but there were fun bits. It was a deep disappointment. And I'll be honest, I have only watched that one once because if I think about
what?
watching it, if I think about watching it again, I'm like, eh.
Oh, that's great. That's
But at
great.
least it's, it was a
That's
fun
great.
time. It was a fun time. I didn't hate watching it. I wasn't like
Okay. Okay.
bored or mad or whatever. Yeah. And you're number 10 or 11? Sorry.
My number 11 is Shazam.
Heart torn out.
My number 11 is Shazam.
Okay.
It was perfectly enjoyable. I liked it, but I thought that there's another movie with a young superhero that was done much better.
What's that? Oh, the other
It's
one
a,
on this list?
it's a,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So
it
I'm
was
going
done.
to gush about both
Correct.
of those later. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
felt that story was done much, much better than what we got from Shazam. Um, I like Billy Bastion,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't really like Shazam,
Yeah. You didn't
if
like
that makes
Zachary
sense,
Levi. Yeah.
right? And not because I didn't like Zach Levy in Shazam Fury of the Gods, because I didn't like Zach Levy in Shazam's Fury of the Gods.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like Shazam in this movie. There's a
Okay.
different. It's not the actor; it
Mm-hmm.
was the character.
Yeah.
Whereas the second movie, I didn't like the actor playing this character. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah. I don't have the experience with the Shazam comic, so I can't compare in that way. I just based on what they gave me in the movies
Yeah,
is all I know.
yeah. So I didn't like the Shazam. I much rather watch the family dynamic in that film than I did the superhero theatrics of the film.
Mm. Yeah, okay. Okay.
So, and I thought they did that really well.
Yeah.
I thought they did that really well. So
Okay.
that's my number 11. What's yours?
My number 11 is going to hurt you too. It's
Oh
Aquaman.
gosh. Oh my God.
We're in the middle
Oh,
of the list. This is not a low
oh,
ranking.
oh.
But it's just I have no problems with it. I just when I look back over all the films, it's not one that I am especially excited about for whatever reason. I think there's
Fair.
cool underwater stuff. It's just I don't know. I'm like, yeah, Aquaman, yeah, it's solid.
Okay. Okay. I'm not gonna argue with you. I think that's perfectly reasonable take. You know. Okay. Hmm.
And what's your number 10?
My number 10 is Wonder Woman 1984.
Okay. Okay.
Um, I just thought there were some really cool elements to the film,
Mm-hmm.
but Pedro Pascal was just great.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you were going to say it was bad for a minute.
He
But
was
okay.
just,
Yeah. Yeah. He was great.
and I
The
felt the
villains were great.
film.
The villains were the best part.
Yeah, Kristen Wiig was
Mm-hmm.
great in her role as Cheetah as well, but I felt they should have just concentrated on one and
Hmm.
not both,
Hmm.
because
I get that.
the threat level that either one of them posed to Diana
Mm-hmm.
was enough to carry the film on its own.
Yeah. Okay.
And I felt like having both of those villains working simultaneously off of each other without really knowing that's what they were doing, um, that that was really, yeah.
Yeah. That's a fair critique. I'm glad you're not one of the haters.
No, no,
You give it.
no.
That's a fair critique. It's
Yeah, I
it's ranked higher for me,
really,
but
I really, enjoyed like I said, the villains and their character arcs. They were really good, but I
mm-hmm.
just feel like they could have. It should have been one or the other. It didn't need to be both, and I think it took away from the film having both of them
Hmm.
simultaneously causing problems for our heroine.
Yeah, I like them both. They're like my two favorite parts of the movie. So I like the movie more for having them together, but I feel like what you're saying is very fair in terms of taking away from each other.
What's your
Yeah.
number 10?
My number 10 is The Flash. So I already it's ranked as high as it is because of the pathos and because of Sasha Kali.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. What's your number 9?
Suicide Squad.
Okay. So this is the original Suicide
Yes,
Squad
the
with Will
20.
Smith. Yeah.
Yeah, what year was that? 2016, 2017, 2016, I think.
Yeah. Yep, 2016.
Yeah, I thought that was it was a fun movie.
Mhm.
It was cool. It was a cool movie introducing, Amanda Waller and, her role in the DC universe and what she's done and how, she's formed, this group of supervillains that she's making do things under duress. And so I really thought it was cool. I thought some of the characters that they introduced were cool. I love Captain Boomerang. Um, Harley Quinn, of course, was great in this. And I liked Will Smith as Deadshot.
Yeah.
I just thought the movie hit on
Mhm.
in a lot of ways, and I thought I guess the final battle was really cool. It was
Yeah.
really cool. I thought, what is her name? Who played
Oh yeah, the model,
Enchantress?
Cara Delevingne, something like that.
Yes, yes, yes. I thought she was great playing June
Mhm.
Moon. Um, and when she transformed into the Enchantress, I thought it was really nice. It was really a good transformation. The characters looked cool. Everything about the movie just resonated with me, and I just thought it was a good movie.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think that's a solid one too. I have it even a little slightly higher, but like you, I have the newer Suicide Squad above that.
Yeah.
Um, my number 9 is the Justice League theatrical cut.
Okay.
So, I mean, I guess we talked through that. I think it was one of those ones. It's there with like the Defenders crossover on Netflix,
Hmm.
where it's like, oh yeah, we're getting all these characters together, and oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. but it was still, it had, it still brought all the characters together, and like I said, I like that version had a bit more humor. So it was less of a slog for me to watch. So that's why I
Okay.
enjoy that
Fair
version
enough.
better.
Fair enough.
Number 8.
My number 8 is The Suicide Squad.
Okay.
I mean, Starro.
Yeah, I love Starro.
You give me a film with Starro in it. You know, I'm like, come on, you don't have to do much more for me.
Yeah.
You got me already. You know what I mean? So,
And we're keeping Weasel from that film too.
yes. Weasel is coming back. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just I thought it was a cool movie, man. I thought they did a lot of good things. The Peacemaker and Rick Flag fight
Mm-hmm.
was great.
Yeah.
Ratcatcher was, just wonderfully disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just really enjoyed the movie, and again to see a character like Starro from the comic book page brought to screen, it was just really cathartic for me. It was like, wow, we're
Mm-hmm.
really getting like something that I never thought would ever make it to the screen, right? Like, how
Mm-hmm.
do you even do Starro? And they did it, and it was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I agree. That one's ranked pretty high for me. Um, for number 8, I have Wonder Woman. And this is a film where I absolutely adore the first third of it.
Yeah,
I really like the second act of it.
yeah.
And then I hate the third
The
act. I
final,
just,
yeah,
yeah, the final confrontation just does not work on so many levels for me. I find it a slog. I don't like the setting. I don't care about like where's it suddenly. It just none of it works for me on a writing or staging level or as a
okay,
spectacle. So that for me knocks what would otherwise be a great movie down.
down.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still first 2/3 are great.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough.
What about you? Number
My number
7.
7 is Blue Beetle,
Okay.
um, which was such a fun time.
Yeah.
I want to revisit that family over and over again. Um, the movie it made me laugh. It was just really cool to see um, representation like that on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was just, and it was a fun movie. It wasn't bogged down by, the threats of James Gunn. It wasn't, bogged down by if we can make another movie or not.
Mm-hmm.
They put their heart and soul into that movie, and it showed me.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. I thought the effects were great. The suit looked awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so Blue Beetle, number 7. If you
Okay.
haven't seen it, that's something I do recommend whenever people ask, "Oh,
What
what
should you?
DC
Yeah.
movies should I see?" I always recommend Blue Beetle.
Yeah, it's an easy one to get into, even if you've seen
Very
nothing else.
exactly,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Um, so my number 7 is Suicide Squad, the 2016 one with Will Smith.
Okay,
And yeah, I really like that movie a lot more than it seems. I know a lot of people seem to shit talk it, and I actually think it's quite good. But I do think, as the titling implies, that it feels like sort of a rough draft of the other Suicide Squad that came later,
fair.
which is why that other one's ranked more highly. But I liked the ensemble here. You've got Harley Quinn in peak form. You've got I don't know. I think overall it was a good lineup of people. Just a bit not as fully realized as the other version,
Okay,
second version. Now number 6.
my number 6 is Birds of Prey.
Hey, mine too.
That that movie was such a blast.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was a blast. It was a blast. It's energetic. It's full of great spots, great
yeah,
moments. I thought the acting was wonderful. Um, just really, really good stuff. I like seeing Black Canary. You
yeah.
know,
I
um,
really wanted the Black Canary spinoff that
that would have
was
been
teased. I really
yeah,
wanted that. Yeah.
yeah. That would have been great. Black Canary. Who else was in it? Renee Montoya. Just really good stuff.
Yeah.
And Huntress, and just, all these characters with great backstories, and it just meshed. They just meshed well
Mhm.
together. Like the story itself was, you know,
Yeah.
Harley in her bag.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like she got to be the ultimate Harley Quinn in this movie.
Mhm.
And that was fun to watch.
Yeah. That's why I like it for the same reasons I like the Harley Quinn TV show because, so the subtitle of Birds of Prey is The Emancipation of Harley Quinn or something like that. I think there's even more words in it, but it's about her like finding her own identity away from the
Yes.
Joker, which is,
Yes.
a story that carries over from she was a side character for the Joker to begin with, and she had to break out on her own. And just as the way many female characters had to do.
Have to
So
do.
yeah. So you feel all that in this film, but also she just like gets to be her complete madcap, um,
Harley.
yeah, sexy, silly, all the things, unapologetic Harley.
Yeah. And it was a blast to see.
Hmm.
Blast to watch.
And it's a
So
great team up. I like that team. I want more from that team. James Gunn,
it
are you
would be
listening?
it
Yeah.
would be nice to
Hmm.
revisit some of these characters with some of these same actors playing
Yes.
playing the
Yeah.
characters, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Um. So what was your number 5?
Peacemaker, the TV show,
Okay.
is my number 5. Um, Again, this was another. It was dark and humorous. There's some laughed out loud spots in this TV show. Um,
Hmm.
it was violent. Um, I don't necessarily like Peacemaker, but
Okay.
I did like the ensemble cast that was assembled for this film, for this TV show. Like the side characters were really they they
Vigilante.
yeah they that's not even
I mean, all of them, yeah.
yeah it was a blast to see those characters get some shine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so I just thought that the explaining Peacemaker is and selling it,
Mhm.
that's a difficult task. You
I
know,
was when I found out, I like the Suicide Squad. You'll see I haven't even said it yet. But when I found out that Peacemaker was the character they were spinning off, I was like, "Really? That's kind of
yeah,
the one I'm least interested in." And
yeah,
then you'll see
yeah,
where Peacemaker ranks on my list, but they knocked it out of the park for me.
because he is not a likable character,
No.
and I don't like him as a character in the TV show. Like
Oh, I
I
feel
kind of,
empathy for him.
I don't. No, I don't empathize with him at all. I kind of, when I first started watching the show, I I kind of rooted against him.
Mm.
You know,
Well,
I
bad
was
stuff
more,
happens to him. Good news.
yeah, yeah, and I kind of more was rooting for the side characters.
Mm, mhm.
Like John, what's his last name?
Wait, yeah. Oh, he's
The
back.
Argus agent. What's
Yeah,
his name? John
it's
Economos,
yeah.
Economos, or something like that.
Economos. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Clemson Mern.
Hmm.
I was rooting for those guys.
I was
Vigilante.
so sad about Mern dying. Oh yeah, did we
I,
save spoilers for all of these films? I'll drop a little spoiler warning at the beginning, but it should be implied, right?
yeah, it should be implied. It should be implied, but still. So yeah, I was really, looking forward to watching those characters, and I got invested in their stories, as they, rotated around Peacemaker. Um,
Hmm.
so I thought the show, if it did that for me,
Hmm.
then that's successful. You know what I mean? Because you have a hard time, at least for me, buying into the character of Peacemaker.
Hmm. Well, that's why I thought the show did it so well because they did actually make me. He's still a jackass, but I understand a bit more why he's a jackass, and still I have empathy for him. You mileage may vary, but
Yeah, I don't have empathy for Christmas. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think my lack of empathy is justified when we watch the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, well, that's why I was like, this character, this is who,
Right.
but this is, I
Right.
guess, James Gunn, who directed the Suicide Squad, he was asked if you want to do your own show, what character? And this is the one he
He
was
said that's
like,
the one.
he's like, yeah, I think about his story in the shower. Like, why is he the way that he is? And you can see that this is a character that really got James Gunn's brain going, really made him think about what makes him tick. And so it really explores that.
Yeah, and what makes him tick isn't great either. Don't get me wrong. I know that he was wronged, and I know that
Mm-hmm.
he had a terrible upbringing,
Mm-hmm.
but I still haven't seen a character that rises above that.
Mm. I mean, do you think there was growth in the first season? Do you agree?
There was some minimal growth. I don't know
Hmm.
how much growth though.
Hmm.
I don't know how much
Yeah.
growth.
I don't want him to grow too quickly
No, definitely
because
not.
for the comedy,
Right, and he's he's an uncomfortable character to root
Mm-hmm.
for me, and I still have this ranked as my fifth
Yeah. He's
favorite
still, yeah,
enterprise in the whole DCEU.
he's still a better person than Vigilante, his sidekick.
I mean, yeah, you don't have
But
to
I
be.
still love Vigilante.
That's a low bar. That's a low bar.
He's
That's
terrible, but I adore
Elysia.
him.
That's a low bar, man. Come on, he's better than Vigilante. That's like, oh,
All
oh man.
right.
What's your
So
number 5?
speaking of villains, I've already said that this is one. When I say that it's in my top 5, people are yell at me, but I don't care. I feel the way I feel. It's Wonder Woman 1984, and
Okay.
my only real problem with this is that you just have to like forget about the fact that they're stealing somebody's body for a while in 1984. So
I didn't
that
even get into that part. I didn't even get into that part.
uh-huh.
That was wildly problematic.
Yes, but compared to these all the sorts of other things that happen in superhero movies, is that really even the worst?
It's not the worst, but it's problematic.
He gets his body back safe and sound.
It's problematic. Let's just leave it at
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. No, this is true. This is true. I do not deny that. But everything else about it, I just think it was a fun, good time. And like I said, I love the villains. For me, the villains made the movie.
Right. I can agree with that.
Your number 4?
My number 4 is the Snyder Cut
Okay.
of Justice League. The reason, there are many reasons why. I enjoyed this film. I thought it fleshed out the things that needed to be fleshed out from the theatrical release.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed Cyborg's added story to this. I didn't feel the way that you felt about it. That he lost his agency in this.
Mm-hmm.
I think he gained agency by going through what he went through. So I really enjoyed his growth and his journey in this film and watching it happen, which is something that I missed in the theatrical release. My thing is, when it dropped, we're in the middle of the pandemic, and I remember, texting with friends like, "Yo, they say they're gonna drop Justice League Snyder Cut. We're all watching it, right? We're gonna watch it. We're gonna watch it. We're gonna watch it." And you're like, "Yo, it's 4 hours long, though." I know it's 4 hours, B. Like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be amazing. I'm in my house, working from home. The world has basically stopped,
Mm-hmm.
but I've got the Snyder Cut to get me through.
Mm.
That was one of the moments for me during those years
Mm-hmm.
that really made things a little bit okay. Watching this film,
Yeah.
from the comfort of my home with my laptop on, stealing glances as I rewatched it while I'm at work.
Mhm.
You know, um, I was lucky enough not to be a frontline worker. I was able to, work from home and be there with my family, but
Mhm.
also be satiated by this movie
Mhm.
that took up a lot of the oxygen in the room that I was feeling with the angst around everything that was happening outside.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't devoid that. I can't
Mhm.
take that away from the film.
Honestly, that's probably one of the reasons why I like Wonder Woman 84 as much as I do.
Mm.
Because that was also that
Yeah,
was a
absolutely.
pandemic, beginning of the pandemic movie
Yep.
when we were in lockdown. It was just
Yep.
like me and my cat. My other cat had just died, and it was and Wonder Woman,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
So
Cheetah.
it's
I
like I
like
just
Cheetah.
can't, when I think about that movie, the context of me watching that movie
Mhm.
plays a role in how I view the film.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's why it's number 4 for me.
Okay.
Amongst that, I just like the movie itself.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
There's
yeah.
just like great spots in the movie,
Mhm.
at the end, Steppenwolf getting the crap kicked out of him, his head cut off, and just,
Yeah.
really cool spots for me. The race between, Clark and Barry,
Mhm.
just things that really, hit. Um, but again, the timing of its release for me holds a lot of weight in how I feel about the film.
Okay. Okay.
What's your number 4?
My number 4 is Blue Beetle. I just basically what you said before. It just has a lot of heart. It's a fun film, really likable characters, and we do have it confirmed that they are one of the most recent announcements is they're making a Blue Beetle TV show that will be a soft reboot, but with the same cast.
Yes.
So that's exciting.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah, because
goodness.
I want to spend more time. I mean, I'm not saying it's a perfect film by any means, but I didn't hate a second of watching it. Some of the jokes are
Right.
kind of cheesy
Right.
and stupid, but I laughed. It was a good
Yeah, I
time.
did. I
Yeah.
did. I laughed. And
Mhm.
that's, and I think it's okay,
Yeah.
to have that sort of humor in the film.
Yeah.
So that was nice.
Yeah, it kind of has a younger pitch than a lot of these are, the darker, more serious, and
Yes.
this one is, I would say, is a more family friendly film because
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
literally it's about family more than anything else.
More than superheroes.
Which is interesting. If I'm looking at my top films, it's a lot about. I love a found family trope, but this one is about real family.
Yeah, and
I
it's
mean,
really,
not that found family isn't real. You know what I mean?
yeah, but this is really, really something, again, that I go back to, like, this is a nice look at a family
Mm-hmm.
dynamic, multi-generational, um, which we don't get a lot of in our films in
Mm-hmm.
general. Grandmother, parents, uncles, like, it reminded me of my family, you know, because my grandmother lived with us. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Mm, I had, yeah. So it was just a great movie to showcase that part of our world, of this
Yeah.
world.
And you talked about the importance of the visuals. This one, the visuals really worked for me with the transformation and everything.
Yeah.
It was the right amount of like creepy and cool and
Yes.
otherworldly. Yeah.
And the reactions to the
Right.
transformation.
Right. It's a funny film. Oh,
It
see, now
is.
I want to go rewatch it.
Yeah, yeah, you should.
Yeah.
So my number 3 is Aquaman.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, Aquaman for me did what it was supposed to do. It made a character that people laughed at, a character that people didn't laugh at anymore.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought
true.
I
Yeah.
thought Momoa was just great in this. He
Yeah.
had like this, he's just nuts. He's just like I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, this guy is this guy. I think he's nuts. I think he's I
Yeah.
think he's like out of control, and it worked. and it
Mhm.
and it worked. It wasn't cheesy at all. I thought, again, the underwater shots were great. Um, I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the battles in it. I enjoyed his character arc in this first film. And I really, really recommend it for anyone who hasn't seen anything in the DCEU. I think Aquaman is one of the ones that you should definitely go out and try to watch.
Yeah, it's a fun one, visual
It's a fun
spectacle.
movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. It's a
Yeah.
fun movie.
Yeah.
Your number three?
Well, before that, I was going to say
Yeah.
that I at some point we got to do with our comics versus we got to do Aquaman versus Namor or Namor. They're apparently pronouncing it in the MCU. But I was just thinking, I know Namor comes first in the comics, but
Yes.
I don't think we would have gotten him in the MCU if not for the
For
success
Aquaman.
of Aquaman the movie. Yeah.
You're probably right. You're
And
probably
I
right.
think that's a really cool addition to the MCU. So I think that's something, yeah, we'll talk more about the versus idea that we're going to be implementing later this year,
Soon.
later, but
Yeah.
soon. But I think, these two, Marvel and DC, they do copy each other a lot and like tongue in cheek, openly often. But they do, in some ways, inspire them to make each other better and more inventive. Like when they brought Namor and Namor on screen, they're like, okay, well, we can't make it too much like Aquaman.
Right.
So they decided to ground him in this indigenous was it Mayan or Incan? Mayan, right?
I think it was
Heritage.
Mayan.
And I think it just makes it all the much cooler. And yeah, I think, especially with James Gunn at the helm, with his Marvel experience and everything, I think that these two properties can continue to drive each other to be elevated. I hope.
Yeah, that's the hope. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So my number 3 is The Suicide Squad, the more
Okay.
recent one, the James Gunn one, and
Yeah.
that one just it worked for me on every level. I loved I love a team up of weirdos. I loved this particular brand of weirdos, and then also how there was like the fake out, with the first group, and they're just mowed down dead, and they're like, nope, here's the real team. You're like, what? I just Starro, the interactions. We got some peak Harley Quinnness. The story works for me. What's his name? The shark?
King Shark.
King Shark. Yeah, yeah. I thought this was my favorite. I've seen him in like animated series and things like that, but this is definitely my favorite iteration of him. I just really felt for him, wanted to give him a hug and be like, "I'll be your friend." But it was also really badass and bloody, and
Yes.
everything you would expect from a movie called The Suicide Squad. That just really was firing on all cylinders for me. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Everything that you said
Mm-hmm.
about the 2/3, the first
Mm-hmm.
2/3 of the film, I totally agree with. I think it's a wonderful movie. I didn't like the ending
Mm-hmm.
because it didn't feel as epic as it should have been. That final battle of Hades, it just didn't hit the way that I thought it would. But everything preceding that was just it's a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great movie. It does the backstory of her really well.
That part's great.
It just her leaving Themyscira really well. The reasons why she left just really hit. It was really good. The writing was really good to me. Just seeing Amazon Island, the way that they portrayed it, and having all the characters and the training, and just it was just a really good movie, and I really enjoyed it. And I watch it, I go back and watch it, and if it's on TV and I see it's on TV, I watch it.
Mm-hmm.
So the replayability for that movie for me is really high.
Yeah. 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 My number 2 is the one that I was saying I watch every year. I watch it every Christmas. It's Shazam. And I just love there's just so much heart in the family aspect of that movie is really
Yeah.
what makes it work. And I would say, you said you like the family stuff more than the superhero stuff, but
Yeah.
and it's true. I don't really think of like I guess, yeah, I do think of the final battle, but it's about how the family teams up to beat it. And then before that,
Yes.
like when they're training, it's about how they train together and, this
Yes.
brother bonding they're forging.
Not about their powers per se, right? It's about them as people, as, as siblings, how they relate to one another and things of that nature. I just thought it's really well done stuff, man.
Yeah, I just find it really well written. Just the emotional journey of this character and the drive, and it's not oh, and you found mother, and now fairy tale, it's all over. It's like, no, sometimes you go looking for something and you find out it's not really what you needed all along, and you've actually
Right.
found what you really needed along the way.
Right.
And just from a filmmaking perspective, there's a lot of great filmmaking details that, in terms of like just peppering foreshadowing in the script and the directing, and I really love that film. So yeah, and they left it. I was so excited for the second one, and then I watched it, and like I said, I give it more apologies because I love the first one so much. I'm more apologetic about the second one, but I have to admit, I was like, oh, when I watched the second one, yeah. Yeah. But the first one, I will continue to watch it every Christmas.
All right. Okay. Okay.
Oh, wait, what's your number one?
My number one movie is Man of Steel.
All right. All
I
right.
mean,
I'm sorry I ranked it so low.
I mean, I'm not gonna say
No, no, no,
anything
no.
about your
Just
ranking,
why
but
do you love it? Yeah.
Man of Steel for me was almost a perfect superhero film.
Mm-hmm.
People can argue with me all they want to. You can tell me, oh, but it's Superman. He doesn't kill, and go cry to your mama. Okay, how about we do that? Go cry to your mom, because I don't want those tears. I don't want those tears. I just absolutely love this film.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cavill was perfectly cast.
I think so too.
He did such a bang up job as Clark and as Superman.
Mm-hmm.
The dynamic between him and Lois was great.
Mm-hmm.
Him finding himself, finding his powers, finding who he is, having the Jor-El voice in the background of the story, just it just hit on so many markers. When he flies to the desert and he's just hovering right above the ground, that shot is just like, and the cape is flowing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a beautiful shot. It's just, there are so many things, so many moments in that film that are just wonderful to view, to see. And I just really, really enjoyed the movie. I really enjoyed the story that they told, the little differences that they had in their Superman, in his background, in his upbringing. Him going, on this journey to find himself instead of always knowing, right? I thought that was really a nice twist on the character. And I'm here for it. I was here for the battles. The action sequences were, sufficiently awe-inspiring when Kryptonians are fighting humans and their speed is something that you don't know. You don't expect somebody to move this fast, and before you know it, in the blink of an eye, you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
That realism, that hit. That
Right.
really hit. Zod was he was great. I I just loved I loved everything about this movie.
Okay.
And once we find out he lets them put the handcuffs on him, like, oh yeah, you go ahead, put the handcuffs on me. Go ahead. And then he just calmly snaps them in the interrogation room while he's reading people's name badges. Yeah, man. I love this movie. I watch this movie every year.
Okay. Okay. Um, my number one is Peacemaker season one. For me, it just, I went in with no expectations and it blew me away in terms of the writing, the humor, the relationship building, the action, the story twists. Like it just, um, obviously they got me with the intro music every single time, never skipping that. I remember I it was one of those ones that I went around and like made my friends rewatched it and then like watched them rewatching it, you know.
Right.
and, and my friend had the audacity to skip the opening
Oh,
song once and the entire room's like, what?
what?
Well, apparently we're getting a new one for season two, so yeah, it just I cared about every character, and of course, that's not necessarily fair to compare, considering they had a season of television versus just one film, which yeah, they had about four times as much length to do that. But I just everything about it was both smart, but also the best kinds of stupid. Like that whole opening thing with with him
Oh
hooking up with this
gosh.
girl, and then it turns out that
Good
she's a
goodness.
butterfly, and that whole sequence was just. I mean, I was like hooked in from the very beginning, and they just kept with new reveals. They just kept making me care about different characters, different parts of the story. I was just locked in for every single thing, and the season two of that is one of my most anticipated shows.
Okay.
Which, for anyone who's wondering, season two, we are getting a Peacemaker season two, and it's going to and a spinoff of Waller, who was in the Suicide Squad movies and that. But these are DCU, even though season one is DCEU, and no, I don't really know what that means either.
It's just I don't know. I don't know. It's branding, I guess.
Yeah, they said
Branding.
the DCU is one of the execs said it is a quote broad but not blanket reset of the DCEU.
It feels like a pretty much a blanket reset.
But we're still getting all the Blue Beetle cast. We're getting all the Peacemaker and like Suicide Squad stuff. I think they're just kind of
They're
it's
keeping
the
all the
big.
stuff that Gunn likes.
Well, okay, fair enough. Luckily, the stuff that Gunn likes is the stuff that I
That
like.
you like.
But I mean, I guess the major thing is that they are recasting the biggest names. So we don't know,
Yes.
for instance, if Zachary Levy or Levi, however it's pronounced, is continuing on. Um, they haven't announced that either way. Actually, I have a bet with someone that's at large about that. Um, but they are recasting like the Justice League characters,
Right.
basically.
Right. So Superman, Batman, Aquaman, Wonder Woman.
Hmm.
I don't even know if we're getting Cyborg now.
Well, I mean, yeah, I
Flash.
guess this opens it up to because for anyone who doesn't know, the actor who played Cyborg in the DCEU was very unhappy with his treatment by the studio, and basically was like, "I'm not coming back." So now, I guess maybe they will recast now that they're recasting everybody.
Right. But I don't know if Cyborg is part of the story.
Right? No, so far
So
not announced. Yeah.
right. So he may revert back to being part of Teen Titans if they do something like that. Um, but Flash is getting new character, new actor. Supergirl, unfortunately,
Yeah,
for
that didn't need. I mean, I love Millie Alcock. Um,
yeah,
so if you're going to recast, that's a great one, but it didn't need to be
it didn't need to
recast.
be, not to me
Yeah,
as well. I thought Sasha was really good.
perfect. Yeah,
Um,
a new
so
take.
yeah.
Hmm.
So and I'm interested to see where they go with the new characters, the new actors, the new stories. I'm hoping that they don't try to revert to what you know. I hope they're not risk adverse
Mm,
with the main characters,
right.
right?
Yeah.
That's my
If
fear
yeah, yeah.
because for everything that we can say, whether you loved it or you didn't love it, whether you liked it or you didn't like it, the DCEU took risk.
Hmm.
And if we're just going back to the plain old vanilla that, you know, comic books and a certain segment of the fandom
Hmm.
expect, then that is going to be very disappointing.
Hmm. Um, so other than the characters we already discussed are definitely coming over, are there any other DCEU characters, the castings that you would want to carry over to the new DCU?
Idris Elba, of course.
Yeah, no, I
Um,
agree. But Suicide Squad, that is a more likely one to.
yeah, so I hope
Yeah,
that we get those same actors
yeah,
playing the characters. Um, Aldous Hodge, he has a
yeah.
place. I don't know if it's going to be Hawkman because, again, I'm not sure
But
they
why
want a
not?
black because I'm not sure they want a black Hawkman.
I mean, but he was like everyone agrees that he was the best part of that movie.
It doesn't matter.
Ugh.
Doesn't matter. They might want something that's Carter Hall that looks like the Carter Hall from the comics. I don't know.
Mm.
Because that's sort of the vibe that I'm getting. Like we want
With the
comic,
Supergirl
yeah,
casting.
like comic accuracy. You
Mm.
know, um, so but I think he has a role in the DCU that he can play. I know we're
Well,
getting Mister Terrific is already coming.
I mean, they might recast because there's been rumors that Jason Momoa, who played Aquaman, might be recast as Lobo. So they might.
Right,
We don't know if that's true, but there's been a
right,
lot of talk about it that it
right.
seems likely. So they might do some more of that.
We'll see. So yeah, I just don't want them to not take the risk. I don't want them to try to adhere to what some parts of this fandom want,
Yeah.
because the risk are what, even in the failures, I can appreciate you taking a chance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you to take, I don't want to not like something because
Mm-hmm.
it's vanilla.
Right. Right.
you
Well, I
know
mean, if I look at like my list of rankings,
yeah,
it's often the ones where I thought they took the most chance that are the ones that I ended up liking the most.
yeah, absolutely. But if you look at Man of Steel, the reason why people don't like it as much, a lot of
Oh,
folks,
it's
is
because
because they
he's yeah.
feel like he's not Superman.
Mm,
Because you know what I mean? Like Snyder took a risk
yeah.
in his portrayal
I
of
don't that
the
doesn't matter to
character.
me. Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But not in your
Mm.
assessment, but
I'm not
in what I
precious about
hear,
Superman. Yeah, no, I know. Yeah.
and the complaints that I remember folks having was that, oh, this is Superman doesn't do this, Superman doesn't do that, blah 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 blah. And it's like, I don't want them to shy away from taking a chance on something.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to talk about more of that. We'll see, including the Elseworlds projects that are immediately opening up that we're going to be covering, and then also the more about what's exactly coming up in the DCU after a quick break. Okay, so we talked at the beginning of the episode about how the Elseworlds properties are basically anything that's not DCU or DCEU is Elseworlds. But we have a couple prominent, well, one's a sequel and one's a spin-off that are coming up hot and fast. And so we're talking about doing a one shot for one or both. I guess we'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, yeah.
They coincide with our Agatha coverage too. But so first up is the Penguins. So the first episode of the Penguin. This is the spinoff of the Colin Farrell character from the Batman movie, the Matt Reeves Batman version of the movie. So this is not part of the DCU. This is an Elseworlds. It's its own universe. And yeah, there's going to be an 8-episode limited series on HBO starting the first episode September 19th, and then they're
Yeah.
doing the second episode 10 days later on the 29th, and they're going to release on Sundays after that, which is kind of a
Weird.
yeah. But yeah, it's going to wrap up right after Agatha, and there will also be in the future a second Batman movie. Matt Reeves is hoping for a trilogy that follows the Robert Pattinson version of Batman, but I don't expect him to show up in this show. I think he shouldn't. It's just going to be like the gangster life of Colin Farrell's character. Is
Yeah,
that?
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I'm looking
yeah,
forward to it because I thought Farrell did a great job in the movie. Which, if we were ranking, it would have ranked really high on my list. The
Okay.
Batman, that Matt Reeves Batman, Pattinson's Batman would have ranked really high on my list.
Okay. I don't love that one as much as some people do, but my favorite part of it was I was blown away by Colin Farrell. He's not in it even that much, but
No,
I found him unrecognizable and just like a
yes,
fresh, more realistic take on the Joker. And so
Penguin.
when Penguin, sorry. And so when I heard that they were doing this, yeah, I heard they were doing a spinoff. I was like, I hope it's a Penguin. And they're like, it's a Penguin. I'm like, yay. So yeah, I'm very curious and looking forward to it. They haven't been doing that much promo for how quickly it's coming up.
Yeah, I know. It's almost like word of mouth.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's just HBO dropping the ball on the marketing side in general lately, but unless you're House of the Dragon.
Right, right.
But then the other one that's coming up while the Penguin is airing is the sequel to the Joker, Joker Folie à Deux. And that's releasing on October 3rd here, and I guess the 4th in the States.
Yeah.
And so this one it's a sequel to the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie. And this is, again, it's its own universe, apart from the Batman, apart from the DCU and everything else. And Lady Gaga is joining as another version of Harley Quinn. And it's going to be a diegetic musical. So basically, it's not like people suddenly break into dance on the streets, or it's like everything, all the music is part of the plot. So maybe there is a hallucination of some of them breaking into dance on the street. I don't know. But the songs they sing are just like them actually singing them together in character in the movie. It still looks dark as ever. Are you excited for this one?
I'm lukewarm, actually.
Okay.
I'm lukewarm on it. I didn't think that we needed a second Joker film.
Mm-hmm.
With the way the first one ended, and I
Yeah.
really enjoyed the first one. So I'm kind of I'm going to see it. I'm not
Yeah, of course.
ambivalent towards it,
Mm-hmm.
but I just didn't know if it was something that we needed to have.
Mm.
I'm interested to see how they do this whole musical business, what that
Mm.
entails and how it's done, because it can be really good or it can be really bad,
Yeah.
depending on how they try to pull it off. So that's one of the things that I'm more interested in seeing, is if they can pull it off.
Yeah. Yeah, so this one is I thought that the first movie was very good, but I didn't enjoy it because it was so relentlessly grim where I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
just don't believe that not a single person in the world was ever nice to this man. And I would have, if
Mm,
they had done something like showed where he misinterprets even the people who try to be nice to him,
right,
if there had been more of that, then I might have bought into it more. But it was just kind of like, oh, this is so depressing.
right.
It's a really good movie, but I didn't enjoy watching it. And so when they were like, they announced a sequel, I was like, oh God. And then they said Lady Gaga is going to play Harley Quinn. I was like, I'm listening. They're like, and they're going to sing. I was like, well, God damn it, I'm in.
And I've been thinking about this for a little bit. Like, is the Joker devoid of Batman the Joker?
Mm,
Right? So I know we're supposed to refer to him, we think he's the Joker, but is he really the Joker?
mm.
Right?
Oh, you mean like not even
Nah,
just like in a philosophical way, but is he actually?
yeah. Is
Oh,
he, if
I mean, I guess
if
so.
Batman is not in opposition,
Mm-hmm.
like if Batman isn't the arch nemesis, if he's
Yeah,
not the thing that the Joker is
yeah.
lashing out against,
His
right?
arch nemesis is society.
Right. I don't know if that makes him the Joker.
Hmm. But I guess when you do a darker take on the Joker, like even if I think about Heath Ledger's Joker, which remains untouched, the all-time greatest for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you, yeah, when I think that it is actually about Joker versus society, and Batman is like the figure representing society in a way. He's the one who gets in the way of the Joker taking his revenge on the world that's been so cruel to him.
But it's more, thinking of the stories in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
It's Joker and Batman is the relationship.
Yeah.
Like as much as
I get that.
Harley, as Harley is and Joker early on are in a relationship, she's really the third in his eyes.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Well, they actually, that's one thing I love about the early seasons of Harley Quinn is they do actually go into that when they talk about how her and the Joker's relationship falls apart.
Falls apart, right? Because she's really the third. And I'm left wondering, that's one of the questions I had with the first film. Like, okay, I get it, but how does this, make him, how does this change him if Batman isn't there?
Right.
Like, does that matter? Right? Does that matter in the formulation? Does that matter in his thought process? Does that matter in how he views the world? Right. So in the film, it feels like all of that stuff is already baked into the Joker. And Batman is just something that drops in eventually. Whereas I kind of feel like it's the other way around. You know what I mean?
No, I completely get where you're coming from. Yeah.
So I'm going to be interested to see if they can yet again pull off a Joker story that is devoid of his true romance. I kind of want to see if they can
maybe if there's a third, they would introduce another Batman, but I don't know if James Gunn would allow it.
Exactly.
He's like, there's enough Batman.
Right.
We have enough Batman.
Right. So we'll see if they can do it. We'll see if they can do it.
Yeah. So I look forward to seeing how both of these turn out. These are both continuations of things that have already done well. So that gives them some solid ground to walk upon. But yeah, looking forward to talking about them with you. And then we have in December our first project of the new DCU. So written by James Gunn himself, who's also the showrunner, and it's an animated series again, because you know what? DC does animated really well.
They do.
And it's called Creature Commandos. So this is really my kind of show. It's a monster team up. Following the events of the first season of Peacemaker, Amanda Waller, who's like the suit, basically, sending them around behind the scenes, she's no longer able to put human lives in jeopardy for her clandestine operations as she did with the Suicide Squad and Team Peacemaker. Instead, she assembles a Black Ops team of monsters consisting of Nina Matsursky, Dr. Phosphorus, Eric Frankenstein, The Bride, G.I. Robot, and Weasel, who are led by Rick Flag. And both the Weasel and Rick Flag are the actors who played them before reprising their roles.
Right.
We have Sean Gunn as the Weasel, Viola Davis and Steve Agee also come back as Waller and John Economos. So are you familiar with this group at all from the comics? It seems like
individually,
deep cut. Yeah,
individually. I didn't really read a lot of Creature Commando comic books growing up, but some of the characters definitely I'm familiar with, and we'll see if this is so obscure.
Yeah,
right. And like you said earlier, this is part of what James Gunn kind of was hinting at. He wants to, do these characters that maybe people don't know about. But
like you did with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right. But like I said, I want those characters, not to just be animated. Right. Can we get those characters,
but
those
we are
stories
getting
being
more
told on screen?
Yeah. I get why they chose animation for this one with them being all monster characters.
Yeah, definitely. It makes sense. And like you said, they do animation really well.
But I was surprised when the first trailer dropped. I was like, oh, this is animated. I don't know. I don't think I realized that.
Oh, no. They said it was when they first talked about it. They said it was going to be animated. We'll see how it comes out. I'm interested in it. I will watch it and we'll talk about it. But again, it's just you know, I'm glad they're not taking. I'm glad that they're taking a risk with characters that people are not familiar with. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
hopefully this gets, more people drawn into it because those characters are different from the ones that we already know. Introduce new, things into the pantheon, and see if it hits. And I
Yeah.
think this is a great idea, and because a lot of the animated stuff is how people got into some of these characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And so we've teased a bit our comics versus episodes, it's going to be basically us pitting Marvel characters against DC characters that are similar. And one of our first ones is definitely going to be, well, obviously, we want to introduce you to this team before the show starts. So we're going to do this team against one of my second favorite monster Marvel team up is Howling Commandos of Shield, but actually I think we should do for this team up the Nick Fury's Howling Commandos version of the team, just
Okay.
for a little bit of
Okay.
more similarity in composition. So we'll talk about how and when did the teams form and their key story elements and stats, and of course, who would win in a fight.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah. I think we're going to start with a big name team up we've been talking about behind the scenes.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
Listeners, you're going to have to listen.
You're going to have to listen. It'll unfold. First, we got a lot of Agatha and Elseworlds to get through. Not get through. I'm very excited about these things. So then, okay, speaking of big names, the DCU kicks into full gear with Superman, which is set to release July 11th of 2025. So I think you're excited about this one, aren't you? Or no?
I'm
okay.
Let me full disclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed Cavill as Superman.
Yeah, I get it.
So, I was bummed that he wasn't continuing in the role in this new DC
I was bummed
iteration.
about the way he was treated. Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't like that either. Which, I guess that kind of like gave me bad vibes about James Gunn, right? Hence my apprehension. If you couldn't tell, I'm a little bit apprehensive about the direction of the DCU. But, it's Superman. I'm going to be there first day or second day in the theater watching it. I have high expectations for it because it's going to set the tone for what Gunn wants to do. And if it doesn't hit, that's problematic.
Yeah.
Because you rarely get a second opportunity to make a great first impression.
Yeah. I think I have mostly positive feelings about it. Like I said, Superman's not necessarily like the character I get most excited about. James Gunn is writing and directing himself, which, he's putting, like, he really cares about this. I wish they had gone, with a more or less generic title, but the cast is really exciting. I don't know David Cornsweet really, who's playing Clark Kent,
Right.
but he looks perfect. I have to assume that he's got like the persona and the acting chops. But I love Rachel Brosnahan, who's playing Lois Lane. She was Mrs. Maisel.
Okay.
So I think, that's great. I'm excited. We're getting, my biggest worry about the film is maybe they're throwing in too much. We're getting so many, like they're introducing a version of Green Lantern. They're introducing a Hawk Girl. They've got there's a lot of characters they've promised in here. Lex Luthor, of course.
But we don't know to what extent those characters are going to be.
It could be just teases for...
Exactly. You know what I mean? But I'm hoping this is more Brightburn than Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay. I showed Brightburn. I really like Brightburn, and I showed it to a group of people. And years later, they were still like, "Oh God, who chose that awful evil Superman movie?" I
What?
was like, "Oh
That was
my
a
God."
great, awful, evil Superman movie.
I mean, I'm not saying like it should have been film of the year, but I enjoyed
No,
it.
but it was totally enjoyable.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't mean, when I say more Brightburn, I don't mean to have Superman,
Right.
you know,
Go evil, but
yeah,
yeah.
that's not what I'm saying. But I appreciate, I don't want another Guardian type vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that. You know, I just don't.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, yeah, I hope that yeah, it's a distinctive vibe because I do want the DCU to be its own thing. And although
Right.
I mean, I think like James Gunn, remember he also did the Suicide Squad, and I think that's I think this is going to be a bit more um like cozy than the Suicide Squad.
I don't know, but
It
the
being
vibe,
Superman, but
Guardians and Suicide Squad, what's the difference with the vibes?
you don't think that there's a difference? Oh, I think
Not
that's okay, okay.
not particularly. I don't think
Yeah.
there's that big of a difference in how the team dynamic goes, how they
Yeah.
function.
Hmm.
I really don't.
All
And
right.
I don't want, you know, this Superman to be uh Peter Quill type of facsimile,
Mm-hmm.
that type of
No, that
hero.
would be a wrong. That would not be very Superman.
And
Like, yeah,
I'm not even
yeah.
talking about the quips. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
talking about his, you
Oh, the
know,
personality.
yeah. Yeah, I'm not talking about, you know, the funny quips and all of that stuff, the sarcasm.
Mm-hmm.
Not just, I don't want him to be, I want him to be something new and fresh,
Okay.
not a rehash. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to see Superman from 40 years ago. We're talking about leaps over tall buildings and
Mm-hmm.
don't need all of that Americana type of, you know,
Mm-hmm.
situations with this Superman.
Yeah.
Give me something new, a new take, a fresh take, a bold take, um, to go into the new DCU, as opposed to trying to bring back vibes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess, yeah, James Gunn is going to have to show his versatility. And
Yes.
I think he probably is well aware that he's going to be compared to the Marvel movies he's made, but I have high hopes.
Okay.
So it is running, as we mentioned earlier, running the new DCU is James Gunn, who's like the master creative, and Peter Safran, who's the one with executive experience. And they are reporting directly to Zaslav. So this does show that DC is a priority in house, which I can understand. They're like, make this franchise make money.
Make it work. Make it work.
Yeah, yeah. And so they've put together, Gunn and Saffron have put together an 8 to 10 year plan. So in 2 chapters, so not phases, like, because that's MCU, but 2 chapters to start at least, and then we'll see where it goes. And their target's about 2 films and 2 series a year, although, you know, we'll see how that works out. And they already have a group of established writers working together
Right.
to craft an overarching story and a lore
Right.
Bible. So that gives me a lot of hope that it's going to be
No.
cohesive.
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. We want cohesion.
Yeah. Yeah. So the first chapter is titled "Gods and Monsters," and in addition to Creature Commandos and Superman, on the movie side, it's also going to include Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and that is slated to release June 26th, 2026. And we mentioned that we've got the Millie Alcock recast. Yeah, we've said what we need to say about that, and it's directed by Craig Gillespie, who I am a fan of his other movies, so I am. He's done like Fright Night, I, Tanya, Cruella, Lars and the Real Girl. He's like all over the place. So I'm very intrigued by what
Yeah.
he's going to bring to this.
And we like Millie Alcock.
Yeah. And we're, yeah.
I'm not, I think she's a great actor, and I think she's going to do great in the role.
Right. Like I said, if you're going to recast, that's a great recast.
That's a great recast.
But it didn't need to be recast.
Exactly.
Anyway, it is what it is. Okay. I'm accepting it and moving on. we're also going to get a movie from The Authority. So this is another more obscure group from the comics. Gunn describes them as a team who thinks the world is completely broken and the only way to fix it is to take things into their own hands, whether that means killing people, destroying heads of state, changing governments, whatever they want to do to make the world better. And he promises that this film's going to have ties to the Superman film. Are you excited for that one?
Yes. Yes, I am. Because I think they have some great characters that they can play with in this Authority.
Mm-hmm.
They just released a new Jenny Sparks, comic, which I highly recommend. The number one from 2 weeks ago was really a great story. So you could get familiar with some of these, characters early on. But yeah, I'm excited to see, Midnighter and the Maker, Jake Hawksmoor, all these, Jake Hawksmoor, like what a great name. So let's go, Apollo, just really, really good characters, good representation on screen. So I'm excited for this.
I'm excited. Like I said, I like the gruesome team ups. So yeah, this is definitely one I like. I'm excited for them bringing like fresh characters in. Like, fine, great. Of course, I'll see as many Superman movies as they put out because it's almost like required viewing. But I am very excited to be introduced to new characters, or new to me at least.
Right. And they better not shy away from what makes these characters.
Right. I don't think
especially between Apollo and Midnighter. Like they're, in love, in a relationship, and they're superheroes.
Thank God it's not on Disney then.
So let's go with the story.
Bitter things to say to Disney about on that front.
Yeah, let's go with the story. So let's keep it. So I'm really excited. I want to see this.
No, I'm excited too. And then the next film in the lineup, I don't know what order these are coming out. After Supergirl, we don't have release dates for the rest of these. But there's going to be The Brave and the Bold, which is a movie about the Bat family, which is going to be directed by Andy Muschietti, who's the director of the Flash, which makes me go, oh. But also the director of the new It movies, which makes me go, So I don't know. It's going to be, and they're going to have Batman's son Damian Wayne as a version of Robin.
I'm cool with the characters, I don't know what the story will be. We don't know what the story will be yet, so we're waiting to see what they say about that. But does not give me happy feels to know that Muschietti is the director.
But did you watch the It movies?
I did. Does not give me happy feels to know that Muschietti is the director. I mean, because the It movies are not a superhero film.
No, they're not.
They're two different genres, two different ways to view characters. I don't think
Batman should be a horror movie. That's my opinion.
We'll argue about that. About that.
And as far as him directing The Flash, I give some forgiveness in that I know a lot of the mess that it was made of it is not. It's not on him. It's on all the other circumstances.
I should give him some grace. You're absolutely right.
For that film, at least. Yeah,
that is true. Okay.
So the next one is the one that I'm most excited about on the film side, which is Swamp Thing. And am I most excited about it because Man-Thing's one of my favorite Marvel characters? Maybe, but who cares? I want this. It's gonna be gothic horror, a dark origin story, and James Mangold is going to be directing. He calls it a passion project. So just like everything about this is like, yes, give it to me now. Please make it next, but it won't be.
Yeah, I think that's that has potential to be really good. Especially if they keep the horror elements intact. Yes,
that gives me great hope. So it's going to be part of the same universe, but I like that gives the idea that even though these are all part of the same universe, they can have different tones, and I think that's when when like Marvel and Star Wars and things are at their best, I think that it's when they do that, when they say, okay, we have this sandbox of characters and world, but it doesn't mean that every project has to have the same sense of humor, the same, genre even.
Right.
And there's going to be apparently a Teen Titans film,
I
which I
mean,
know I'm not as familiar with that group as I know people love it. I haven't really watched any of the Teen Titan stuff, and I know that I should and I will remedy that
yeah,
one
you
day.
should. You should.
Yeah.
Live action, the cartoons, they're all
Mm-hmm.
really good. Recommended viewing, definitely. Get in tune with these characters, which is why I said I don't know if they're probably going to put Cyborg on this team as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to the Justice League.
Right.
Um,
That makes
so
sense.
yeah, I'm excited for it because I know that the characters are really good. Um, the backstories for each of them, whichever ones they pick, could be really special to see on screen, and how they come together as a team dynamic could be really nice. So
Yeah.
definitely, but check out the animated and the live action if you get a chance.
Yeah, I'm definitely, I'll try to do it. I mean, they don't even have a title for the Teen Titans film. I think I've got a
No,
few
you
years.
got
So,
time. You
but
got time.
yeah, but I definitely, it's my intention to catch up on that before it comes out for sure. Because it's been on my, it's, one of those things. I know everybody loves it. It's on my watch list for so many years, but it's just, there's so much. There's so much.
Right.
And they just
Too
keep
much. A
making new
lot.
things. Yeah. I don't mind them slowing down the content train in general, as long as it doesn't come at the expense of the stuff that I love. And this lineup is
Right.
giving me hope that
Right.
so then on the TV side of the DCU Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters, we already talked about there's going to be the Blue Beetle series. There's going to be Peacemaker Season 2, which is filming right now, and Gunn
Right.
is remaining the showrunner. There's going to be Waller, which is tied to Peacemaker. And we have, again, Frank Grillo reprising his role as Rick Flag Sr. And then we've got something new, something they're a punching bag that they're now ready to restore to the light. We've got a Lanterns series.
Oh,
I don't hate the Green Lantern movie as much
what?
as most people.
Oh, come on. Come on. You have. I won't argue with.
I don't hate it. I
I
mean,
hate it.
okay.
I hate it. I
I
hate
mean,
that
I'm not
movie.
saying it's good.
So if it's not good, what is it?
Um, eh.
I hate that movie.
Okay.
Oh gosh, I if I see it on the TV, I change the channel so quickly.
I mean, even Ryan Reynolds, who is the star of it, makes fun of it. So.
He should make fun of it.
Yeah. But yeah, so this version, it's going to be a TV show. It's going to be two Green Lanterns, Hal Jordan and John Stewart, not that John Stewart. And so they
Thank
are,
God for that.
yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, intergalactic heroes who wear rings that give them extraordinary powers. And it's going to be a detective story where the two of them are working together to investigate a mystery on Earth. And Safran said that the mystery is it's going to lead into the main storyline for the DCU, so that it's interconnected. So is that how do you feel
Super
about
excited for that.
the detective
Super
story
excited for that.
angle works for you?
Super excited for that because they're such different. They have such different personas, John Stewart and Hal Jordan.
Be like a good odd couple.
Yeah, definitely. I'm super excited for this. I think it's going to be. It has the potential to be really, really good. Yeah, I can't wait to see who they cast as both Hal and John.
Mm-hmm.
More representation on screen is always a good thing, so I can't wait to see Black Green Lantern in live action. So yeah, I'm just super excited for this.
Yeah, I am too. I think actually I'm not like super into detective stories per se, but for some reason that angle and they I think someone threw around the word noir and I'm like, okay, I'm hooked in. Um, yeah, I'm very curious what they're going to do with this. It seems because it's not like this is like an in between character where it's not like it's brand new, but it's also not Superman. It's something that people have a passing familiarity with, and they can do a lot to flesh out that lore on the screen.
I mean, you know, in the animated series, the Justice League animated series, the Green Lanterns play a big role in a lot of those stories. So
Yeah.
it's long overdue that we got proper live action representation on screen for the core and for Hal Jordan and John Stewart particularly.
Yeah.
So and given that we're gonna be introduced to the lanterns in Superman, it just makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this
I am
TV show.
I do like the way that they're already promising us, they've already planned out, like, we're going to seed these characters here and then flesh them out in their own titles. And so that gives me, I really get the sense that they are crafting an entire story, which is going to make it more
Yes,
satisfying.
yes.
And the next one is Paradise Lost, which is going to be a political drama in the vein of Game of Thrones, but set on Themyscira, where a Wonder Woman comes from, but before Wonder Woman's time. How
Yeah,
do you feel about this?
I'm here for that.
Yeah.
I'm here for
Yeah.
that. Anything involving, mythology, give me Themyscira all day long. I'm here for it. Amazons, give me whatever adventures they get into pre Wonder Woman, back in the days of Greece, Trojan War, whatever. I'm here for it. Give me Zeus, give me Hera, give me Aphrodite. I need to see all of that, and yeah, I'm give me Hercules. I want it all. So that's going to be fun.
Yeah, given my feelings about the main Wonder Woman movie in the DCEU, especially, I'm kind of definitely down for a story set in Themyscira that doesn't involve her. That it's
Right.
not like, because the problem is, as soon as Wonder Woman shows up in Themyscira, the story becomes entirely about her. Because because this is her origin story. But now it's like, well, what about if we just tell the story of this country, of this place, of this hidden realm?
Right.
On its own merit, without
why it's hidden,
who
hid it, and how does it function? How does Hippolyta become queen? So
right.
just I'm here
I
for
don't
all
know
of that.
how far before her time it'll be. I'm curious about that. Yeah, if she's like shows up at the in the
Already queen,
last
or
or the last yeah. And then the next one, this one is like, I've never even heard of this character, so
okay.
I'm intrigued and curious, and it'll be fun. This one's going to be a comedy called Booster Gold, about a disgraced former football star in the 25th century who travels back in time to pose as a superhero using basic future technology. So apparently this is meant to just like full on lean into the comedy. I'm here for it. I mean, are you familiar? You are familiar with
And this is my least.
okay.
This is the one that I'm least looking forward to. Booster Gold has never been one of my favorite characters, because I don't like the man child.
Yeah.
And a lot of times he's written as the man child. Like the comic relief. Sarcastic, cracking jokes. Not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
So I will watch, of course. Hopefully, much in the way that I'm not a fan of Peacemaker, but I think the series is great. Maybe this will be the same.
No, that's fair. Are there any characters that you hope to see either in any of these or in Chapter 2, which we don't know what's going to be in Chapter 2 at all yet? We don't know what it's going to be called or anything.
I mean, the one major character that I want to see is Black Lightning.
Okay, yeah.
And any future DCU property, any future movie, I think Black Lightning and his family, his two daughters who have powers themselves, just really, I need to see that on screen.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can see that, because I mean, that is definitely a character. I have a passing familiarity just because he's so prevalent, I know that he's got a
he's
huge
important.
fan base. Yeah.
And he's important, with the Batman family, Batman and the Outsiders. He's important in Teen Titans lore. So I really want to see him on screen.
Yeah.
It's long overdue. I enjoyed the CW series that we got from Black Lightning, that first season, which of television was really, really great. So I just want him to get his proper due, his family to get their proper due, because they're an important part of the DC universe. And
Mhm.
yeah, give me Black Lightning.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know the comics like you do to pull out characters that haven't already been pulled out, but like I wouldn't mind seeing fresh takes on. Like, I would love to see a new take on Bane that's different from
Mm,
what we've seen before and different from Harley Quinn, and just like let's just try something completely different for Bane, or
right, right.
um, yeah, I'm here for it. I'm actually at the moment, I'm low key more excited about this than what's coming up next in Marvel. Just because, like, I'm very excited about, for instance, Agatha. I'm excited about a bunch of projects they already had on the way that are exploring the darker side of things. Like, and I know there's still the Vision project in the works and things like that. And I hope that they will keep going with the Marvel horror side. Hope they don't drop the ball on Blade. I hope there's Midnight Suns coming out of that and Ghost Rider. And these are all, I love all that stuff. I'm less excited about, we've already talked about it, the Russo brothers and RDJ coming back. I'm like, do we really need to pay these people this much money for
Right.
something we've already done? But I know a lot of other people feel differently, so I hope they're worth every penny.
Yeah, that remains to be seen.
Hmm. I don't know. What are your feelings? Do you think Marvel should be quaking in its boots with his DCU plan?
I don't know about quaking, but
Mm-hmm.
given the first movie that Gunn is concentrating on, yes,
Hmm.
yes,
Yeah.
because Superman is just one of those characters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody around the world knows him. He's
Yeah.
just one of those characters. And if that movie hits, that could be something that just like totally overtakes everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm glad. Like I said, I think in some ways they make each other better. So I hope that continues into the new era. Um, and speaking of Marvel, we have Agatha Weekly coverage coming up your way. The first episode drops on the 18th or slash, I think, yeah, it's 18th in the US and or the Americas, and the 19th in the rest of the world. Um, and yeah, we talked about. This is one of the shows that was one of my most anticipated of the year.
Right,
I
right.
of course I absolutely love WandaVision. I love the witchy side of Marvel in particular. I've been doing like deep dives trying to close up all of the gaps in knowledge that I have about, like, they have some deep cut characters that they're bringing into this show. So I went and like read all their comics, and we're going to do a prep episode coming up before this comes out, and then we're going to have weekly coverage coming your way. You looking forward to that as well?
I am. I am. I think Agatha, especially in the way that she was written in Scarlet, in the Scarlet Witch
Yeah,
series, I thought it was really good. So I'm excited to see this character brought back, um, in what it means for the general, Marvel universe. That this character, who's really powerful, it has been, is coming back into the fold. Um,
yeah.
so I'm kind of excited to see the new characters that are going to be introduced. Um, one in particular who I don't know why Marvel is pretending we don't know who he is, but that should be a lot of fun. And yeah, so I'm here for this, definitely.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. Yeah, when we do our prep episode, we'll talk about that character last for anyone who doesn't want to know. But like, I'm pretty sure we know what's going on there. I don't
Yeah, yeah.
know. uh, And yeah, in also on this feed, obviously, we've got regular Rings of Power coverage with David, John, and Marilyn, and just also covering the world of Tolkien. The Silmarillion stories also continue. And there are other one shots coming up in the immediate future, including Alien Romulus, which you and I are both going to be on. We're recording
Yeah,
next
that's right.
week. And also doing next week Beetlejuice. So yeah, we're getting in I like to call September pre-Spooktober. But of course, in October, we are going to have some also Spooktober coverage, namely on the Lorehounds feed. There's going to be, we're going to talk about the Poltergeist and the remake.
Very cool
some other
stuff.
things we're talking about. Yeah. Um, so we've got also Rings and Rituals is on break, as is properly Howard, but we've got Radioactive Ramblings is back. They're doing intermittent episodes. They just did the boys coverage, and I think there's going to be some more Fallout lore coming. The Star Wars Canon Timeline podcast, I'm in the middle of publishing 2 episodes that Marilyn and I did talking about folklore in the Old Republic in Star Wars. So you'll find that
Ooh,
on the Star Wars Canon Timeline podcast feed.
nice.
And We'll Shift Dust in the book club. We are doing all the book coverage of the Silo series, ramping up for the new Silo season is going to start November 15th. But then
Goodness
also,
gracious.
yeah, in October on the public feed, Luke and I are going to be doing the Dune book breakdown. And we also have a new podcast member of the affiliate family. So starting September 10th is when they drop their first episode. It's called Never Mind the Music. You can already find the feed with a teaser episode in it, which I thought was excellent. And they dive into like just different popular music, but from the angle of irreverent academics. So making lots of jokes, but also talking about, neuroscience and Jungian collective and consciousness and things like that. So really fun one. There's an episode in the Lorehounds feed introducing them. So watch out for that. And yeah, Sean and I, we've got our hands full with comic book coverage in the next few months.
Lorehounds got you covered on
Yeah.
everything. Okay, so let's, thank you for listening as always. And this is so much fun getting to break these things down with you guys. And then getting to talk about it on the Discord. So
Yeah.
join our communities, be on the lookout for new things. Quick, let me do a quick promotion here.
Yeah.
Check out my comic book list
Yeah.
of the things that I get pulled weekly. So yeah, we're here for you guys, and I'm glad that you guys are here for us.
By the way, on the day of recording, the Kelnaka comic came out today for Star Wars
Yes, I
fans,
know.
tying into the
Yeah.
Acolyte. So I've already read it. I think
Oh, you
I
have?
loved it.
Look at you.
Yeah. I
Oh,
came away
man.
with misty eyes. Of course, it's the Acolyte. It's like I'm top of it.
Right.
Yeah. So definitely check out that comic. And I'm going to be covering that in some capacity on the Star Wars Canon Timeline podcast feed.
All right, go
I'll
ahead.
let you know about that. But you can find links to the Discord, to all these affiliate feeds, to the email, which again, you can email Lorehounds, thelorehounds.com if you want to send in feedback. You'll find a link tree in the show notes with links to all of that. And also, as always, there's the Supercast and Patreon where you can get early ad-free access to extra episodes, including Second Breakfast and Elevensies, where we do an extra movie breakdown per month. And it's looking like this month's movie will be Prey, the Predator
Awesome
movie.
film.
Yeah.
Great
And you'll
film.
also find show guides for the biggest shows like Rings of Power and other little extras along the way. And to thank those who help make all of this possible. All right. I pulled up some random music that's from the Epic folder. So let's see what this sounds like.
The Epic folder.
Yeah,
Let's go.
The Epic collection music. Ooh, yeah. Thank you to our Discord server boosters, Gnarls, Aaron K, Tiller the Thriller, Dorka the Ninjas, Duve71, Captain Gingy 56, Athena Ajalea, Adrian, Tina, and Listu. And thank you to our lore masters, Samartian, Michael G, Michelle E, David W, Brian P, SC, Peter OH, Bettina W, Adam S, Nancy M, Duve71, Brian 8063, Frederick H, Sarah L, and we will make sure there's more music. Here we go. Garrett C, Eric F, Matthew M, Sarah M, DJ Miwa, Andra B, Kwong Yu, Jedi Bob, Nathan T, Alex V, Aaron T, Sub-Zero, Aaron K, Dali V, Mothership 61, Narus, Kathy W. Oh, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, Gnarls asked to always be referred to as a question. Listu, Jeffrey B, Elysia U, and always last, Adrian. Thank you all so much. You are the people who make
Thank you.
this whole enterprise possible. Well, I don't know what's our final word. I gave you the final word, John.
Go watch Man of Steel.
And go watch Blue Beetle or Peacemaker if you haven't seen it yet. All right. Bye.
Take care.
The Lorehounds podcast is produced and published by the Lorehounds. You can send questions and feedback and voicemails at thelorehounds.com/contact. Get early and ad-free access to all Lorehounds podcasts at patreon.com/thelorehounds. Any opinions stated are ours personally and do not reflect the opinion of or belong to any employers or other entities. Thanks for listening.